I mean, that's actually such a good question with like, this is my first bull run and I've never experienced it because like this is for a lot of people, this is their first time. And you guys are anyone that's joining in even today is super lucky because you're still in before the Bitcoin halving and before like Bitcoin hits like 100 grand or the blow off tops and stuff. How high do you think Bitcoin can go this cycle?
I'll give a range.
Sure.
So the range is like, because one thing I do on my channel a lot is being able to understand the dynamics of long-term holders and short-term holders
Yeah.
and their habits when they're in profit. So in due time, a lot of these long-term holders, and these are people that are holding Bitcoin for more than 155 days, but then holders that have been holding BTC for 5, 6, 10 years and whatnot. They have certain types of habits when they reach like a 3x
Yeah.
on maybe some like positions that they got from the bear market. And so, but really, it's just like when about like 92 to 93% of those long-term holders are in significant profit. And you can look at the Newpol. And then also when the short-term holders, like a certain percentile that I will only share on in the Volta Crypto, of when the long-term holders and also the short-term holders are in a certain percentage of um, profit all at the same time, we tend to say, all right, cool, this is like max euphoria. And
Mhm.
so, from a standpoint of like how the trajectory is going already for those, cohorts of holders, I mean, I'm kind of seeing it on like the extreme bear side is like probably like maybe like 120,
Yeah.
but upwards to probably, getting close to like 220, like somewhere in there. I know it seems like a big range, but it's really not. It's only like a 100% difference between the two,
Wh-
like a
Why
double between the two. You know
but
what I'm
why are
saying?
you filling my bags?
I'm footing the bags, right? Nah, but you know what I'm saying? So like, or just like to just round it out, like from 120 to 200K, somewhere in there. There's going to be way too many long-term holders in severe profit for them not to take like extreme profits. Because at that point, like these guys that like, oh snap, I had 10 million. They're like, oh snap, I got 100 million. Like, yo, I got,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, that's kind of what I'm thinking. What about you? Like, what say you on that?
Yeah, I mean 120. I mean, we're in the same range. I mean, like I think maybe upwards, maybe 250 at the most. But it all I mean, I mean, if you really like, I mean, the most bullish target I could possibly think of, like 400, but like it
Yeah.
just takes so many things. It takes
It would
so
have
many
to
things.
suck in liquidity from gold, from the housing market. Well, okay. So on my stream last night, there's this website that it takes like the market cap of several major asset classes. So
Yeah.
we're talking like the gold asset class, which is what about like 13 trillion, give or
Yeah.
take. Real estate, that's commercial, retail, and rental, all rental real estate. It's maybe like some say like 350 to 400 trillion. So super big. Bonds, 130 trillion. Stocks,
Yeah.
110 trillion. So let's say if we like modestly take like, let's say like 1% from real estate, we take probably, I think Bitcoin is probably going to take like of actual investors from gold in the next, let's call it not this cycle, but including the next cycle. So like before 2030,
Yeah.
probably at least like half of those investors. So like I'm thinking like half of the market cap from gold in this cycle, next cycle is going to go to Bitcoin. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Silver is in there, but silver is like already smaller than Bitcoin currently.
Yeah. It's already smaller. Yeah.
And let's say, but the bonds, bro, like bonds is 130 trillion dollars. These bonds are negative yielding in real rate terms because of what inflation is doing, and not inflation of like the 8% that you hear from. Because there's people gotta, and I love to teach this stuff. There's a difference between monetary inflation and like CPI inflation, like the reading
Right.
that they give us. Like the monetary inflation is the expansion of the actual fiat currency that we're using. So basically, if you look at the debt that we have that's forever increasing, that they just passed a bill, $1.6 billion the other day, like, hey, get ready for that. So,
Yeah.
but just in general, when they expand the dollar basis that we're using, that's monetary inflation. And then so with monetary inflation being what it is and continuing to increase because they can't slow it down or else things ain't gonna look good around here. So with that being the case, a lot of these like the 60-40 portfolio, when they're like, hey, 60% in bonds, 40% in stocks, the last 2 years, bonds have been getting shellacked, like smacked, yo.
Oh yeah. Raising rates,
So
you get nuked.
yeah, so it's just like they ain't gotten nowhere. Like they can't stay in some of these like bonds that are maturing in the next year to two. They're like, yo, we got to get the like try to get much back as we can. They know that they've been killed to inflation over the past 2 years. They got to choose something else. They got to. Traditionally, they probably maybe try to go for gold as a hedge if the inflation is kind of ramping up, because traditionally they're trying to say if inflation is going up, assets will go up, but then some of them can go down. But people are really like, the narrative of Bitcoin is going to grow each cycle, and I think it's now growing since the ETFs are a thing now. A lot of these sovereign wealth funds, like I said, registered advisors, they're going to be looking at Bitcoin through the ETF platform in terms of like, all right, so yeah, some of these bonds that we just got maturity on, okay, cool, we take them, we took that L, we got to allocate maybe 0.5%, but 0.5% of $130 trillion or 130 trillion, you know what I'm saying? Like
a whole
coming
lot
over
of,
Bitcoin.
and I mean, obviously, and also market cap is kind of bullshit too, because like there's only so much liquidity or so much like I know people think when they're like, wow, Bitcoin's worth this much trillions of dollars, like that means someone could cash out $1 trillion. No, you could.
No, that's not how that works. Like that's not the math of life. So the amplifier currently is maybe like per every, and it depends because it's a floating number, but like this of actual real world dollars, like today, it does maybe like a 8 to 10x to the market cap total, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's just like maybe like $70 billion that have maybe come into Bitcoin over like the last whatever, like 6-7 months due to the ETFs. But in real like or in market cap, that's hundreds of billions, obviously. You know what I'm saying? So depending on price, the higher that the price goes, the more the dollars will have an effect on market cap. On the amplifier.
Sounds like I sold all my stock last year at a loss, put it in GBTC. That's so, and those aren't even the best part, because I know you were limited, because there was at the time there wasn't that. That's freaking hilarious. And then actually you probably made more money because they were at a discount as well to the actual prices. So you actually I remember Kathy Woods, it started buying up a ton of GBT. She dumped it all I think a month or two back, but she was like I think she was the largest holder of GBTC.
Yeah.
And she bought it at like the worst. I mean, at the best premium for, like, basically, if Bitcoin's price was, as an example, hit at 15,500, it's like she was buying it at like $11,000.
Yeah, some super cheap.
Yeah. So she killed it and just got out and stuff out before it gets into trouble and stuff like that.